The people have spoken and have said they want Trudeau to resign. However, his hubris will not allow him, as he continues to say in interviews that he is not going to run an election until 2025. Let's get into it.
Oh, yeah!
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to The Fringe. Justin Trudeau just doesn't get it, and why not start this video off on a fun note with a new heckling coming out of Justin Trudeau's office. Now, throughout things that have gone on in the last couple of weeks, especially when we look at the things like Arrive scam, the $60 million that has been drained from Canadian taxpayers' pockets over the $80,000 originally projected amount that has gone to padding the pockets of friends and family, $1,900 a day per diems, rising taxes, rising inflation. Justin Trudeau just does not get it, no matter how much people tell him to resign. And while I still sit on the side of the fence that says we're going to see a spring election, I know Justin Trudeau has recently sat in an interview, and we're going to show that a little bit later in the video here, where he talks about maintaining what he's doing in order to keep the course on climate change. Now, of course, when he talks about that, as I said with Arrive scam, he's looking at just how long he can pad his pockets before he's inevitably kicked out of office. But the writing may be on the wall, and I will end on a good note that our fingers could be crossed that hopefully some change is going to come in the ways of a spring election. But let's get into the good stuff right away with Justin Trudeau. This post coming to us from DC Media on Sunday after Palestinian demonstrators moved on from the PMO's office. Justin Trudeau cited it was safe to come out of his office for a stroll. DC, as well as CS Quadrant News, tagged along and asked the PM a few questions. DC Media is an amazing Dacey's a great reporter. If you haven't followed Dacey over on Twitter, make sure go over, give him a follow. He does great work. I love watching his videos and will love getting his tweets. But if you haven't noticed here, they've cleaned up the walls pretty well. Justin Trudeau's office was vandalized with red paint all over the doors, all over the walls here, all down the street. And, well, still no Emergencies Act has been called into play. Now, I know when the truckers went to Ottawa, we certainly didn't see any vandalism of buildings or any defamation of I guess vandalism or destruction, I should say, of government property. But yet Justin Trudeau's office is willing to clean up other protesters vandalizing his office because he doesn't want to come across as racist. Why would he want to do that? But let's get right into the heckling, because boy, does he get owned pretty good here.
Mr. Trudeau, would you care to Would you care to comment on the massive group of Palestinian demonstrators that just took over the street in front of your office? They accused you and your government of genocide. They're marching through the streets of Ottawa right now, banging drums, snarling traffic all over the place.
You invited a Nazi.
Any comment?
Are you going to resign?
Any comment at all? You going to address any of the issues going on in your country?
You made Rhoda resign, Trudeau. You made him resign.
What about?
You invited him to dinner. Are you going to resign like him?
Can we talk about a Arrive scam, maybe? $60 million?
Yeah, how about the Arrive scan app?
No? How about you choose? You choose the scandal.
Get vaccinated to get on a plane.
The Emergencies Act you invoked here being illegal, unjustified, an overstep of your authority. Do you want to address any of the conflicts and issues we have in our country?
Anything, Trudeau? Anything to say to the people?
Nothing to say, eh, big guy?
People. We know you're a narcissist.
She's right.
You're a
Just
sociopath.
take it a stroll with all your buddies
you
here.
You are a sociopath. You are a narcissist.
Where are you headed anyways? Clearly he's not going to answer a single question.
Be our prime minister anymore.
Can you at least give us the narcissistic wave you're famous for?
Trudeau.
At least give us the narcissist wave, man. Come on.
Nobody likes you anymore.
One wave, man. One wave. One wave.
You have nothing.
Your
have no
your
legacy,
time is
Trudeau.
going to end.
You have no legacy.
No legacy. You love to see it. I mean, of course, walking down the street, he doesn't acknowledge anything. His security goons turning around, actually looking almost intimidated at one point, because they're not really protected they usually are walking down the streets. Now, notice how Dacey and his cohorts aren't shoved to the side and immediately arrested like rebel news reporters for approaching Justin Trudeau on the streets. Makes you kind of wonder what happened to David Menzies, doesn't it? Uh, it's, but it gets worse. I mean, when people want to question Justin Trudeau and people want to say that this man really has no interest in Canada, he's destroyed our country over 8 years. Listen to this recent event that he was caught at, where Cat Canada was good enough, friend of the channel, to post about Trudeau admiring China, and it really shows. Let's take a listen to what Justin Trudeau has to say here.
Chukmun namoy se bok mani badiseo sumni nfailok shinye kwaile bokhe fachoy. Merci tout le monde.
No idea what he said there. Why? Because it's in Chinese. There's Justin Trudeau admiring China once again, going to events, and of course, taking the time to learn Chinese, but he can't learn his own Charter of Rights and Freedoms because he wants to oppress his people. Now, with the Liberals' numbers polling and tanking even lower than they usually do, here's Cat Canada once again through Jamie Soleil, friend of the channel, posting about Piers Morgan calling Trudeau the #1 woke fascist and references a poll that said more young Canadians would vote for Trump than for Trudeau if they could.
Trudeau, for example, he bangs on about Trump being a fascist when he is the #1 woke fascist in the world, right? The most woke human being alive. And I think
he's destroying that country.
I saw a poll last week that said more young Canadians would vote for Trump than vote for Trudeau, right? Not that they're in the same election, but they.
I mean, I'll be honest, if Donald Trump wants to come to Canada and run for prime minister, I would love to make Canada great again. I know Pierre Poilievre has said he wants to make Canada great again. Justin Trudeau, of course, in the House of Commons, being busted last week saying that Pierre wants to make Canada great again, and that's not what Canadians want, and Canadians don't want to go to the poll. But if we look at this recent interview that he sat down with Breakfast Television, because these are affiliated paid prostitutes of Justin Trudeau's, we've talked about this group on Breakfast Television before, as they scrutinized everyone who dared question Justin Trudeau's trip to Jamaica this Christmas, where he got an $80,000 gifted villa, which of course was no mere conflict of interest at all. He's certainly allowed to take his vacations, and according to the people on this show, we should not question Justin Trudeau and his right to go on vacation on the taxpayer's dime. I wonder what they would have to say about his recent trip to the Super Bowl this last weekend, because I'm sure he got lots of virtue signaling pictures while he was there. I'm very curious to find out what that was going to cost Canadian taxpayers in terms of security, accommodations, flights, etc. I highly doubt he paid for that out of pocket. But let's take a listen to what he said, and then we're going to get into a little bit more that's not in this interview, but that was tacked on at the end.
We brought it in as a way to both fight climate change by putting a price on pollution, so businesses would make investments that would upgrade their machinery and do things better, more productively, and cleaner, and return more money to middle-class families so they're not carrying the burden. So every 3 months here in Ontario, Ontarian families get a Canada Carbon rebate, basically a check for the price on pollution that, on average, puts more money back in their pockets. So,
for starters, all Canadians are supposed to be getting that rebate. I don't know about you guys. I didn't get a rebate. I think, as far as I know, it's low-income Canadians that are below somewhere like a $30,000 annual threshold gets those payments back. I could be wrong. This is an observation, so don't quote me on that. But I know a number of people the last time we talked about these rebates said they didn't get one. I know our household didn't see any kind of rebate. So whatever Justin Trudeau's talking about, and to my understanding, the rebate is roughly about $800. Now, if you run that over 4 times a year, that's not covering what we pay in carbon taxes when you look at the overinflated price of gasoline, food, clothing, pretty much anything we do in today's society. It's a scam. What he's doing here is buying votes. That's what the money back is, and that's what it's been from day one. I'm going to give you a check to make you forget about all the times I've put my hand in your pocket and taken money out of it for my own luxuries. One rule about the government that people tend to forget is that if the government is giving you money back, it means you've paid too much to them to begin with. That is the problem he's not addressing. Let's continue.
Mr. Poilievre talks about killing the price on pollution, axing the tax. He's not only talking about doing less to fight climate change and prepare for the economy of the future, he's also talking about taking away those checks for hundreds of dollars that families get 4 times a year here in Ontario and in other jurisdictions. That means they're actually better off while we fight climate change in a way that is bending our emissions down faster than any other G7 country. The fight against climate change matters. We only have to look at the wildfires every summer to see that.
Wait a minute. Wildfires? You mean the arson? You mean the arson that someone in Quebec was charged for lighting 90% of the fires that came out last year? A man in Alberta was charged for a large number of fires. In fact, 80% of the fires that arose in Alberta last summer were listed as arson. That's not climate change, Justin Trudeau. Arson is arson. This is so what he's essentially talking about, and I've mentioned it a million times over, is that when he talks about climate change and how important it is, he's talking about padding his own pockets. The money is going into these billion-dollar slush funds and things like the Arrive scam debacle. Not that Arrive scam was part of climate change, but that's how they pad their pockets. They use these wedge issues as an excuse to benefit their friends, to fill their own bank accounts. Again, as I typically remind people, Justin Trudeau's net worth, $9 million when he came into Prime Minister's office, $100 million today. Yeah, climate change really is a it's really a problem, isn't it?
But building a strong economy for the future matters as well. And that's where companies like Stellantis, Volkswagen, companies across the country are looking to invest, because we're leading in a clean electricity grid, but we're also creating jobs and careers for the long term in a clean.
You're creating jobs and careers. Does anybody remember the battery plant that was coming here, where Justin Trudeau says they're creating jobs, yet 70 or 80% of the jobs that are being filled are being given to outsourcing? Like they're bringing people in from other countries. I believe it was somewhere near the Philippines that they were bringing people in from to fill about 70 to 80% of those jobs, because they know more about the process than Canadians could be trained on. As the interview wrapped up, Justin Trudeau does implement again that there will be no spring election, that he is just going to focus on climate change, or I mean, padding his pockets until 2025, when it's his time to leave office. However, Jagmeet Singh nervously sat with reporters, threatening to break ties with the Trudeau Liberals again. And again, I do believe at some point tensions are going to mount. We're going to see a spring election. I again say it with Pierre Poilievre, with all of his conferences, the way Jagmeet Singh has been talking lately, whenever he stands up in the House, whenever he does these press conferences, Justin Trudeau talking about climate. They're all in campaign mode. They're talking about these issues far more than they were a year ago. They're being more aggressive. Pierre's taking his stance again, pushing back on reporters. I think, again, call me crazy, the writing is on the wall, but listen to Jagmeet Singh's threats, and then we're going to discuss.
If you can't come to an agreement on March 1st on pharmacare, are you willing to horse trade that promise that you want to have for other things in the deal to try and get other things done to keep it going forward?
We've really just been really clear that this has now got to the point where we had a deadline last year. They missed it. We agreed to an extension. If they don't make this deadline again, then they would have broken the agreement, and we can't continue with the agreement. That doesn't mean we can't find ways to pass other bills that we still support. That doesn't mean that we can't continue to put pressure on things like the anti-scab legislation that we want to see happen. We're going to continue to put pressure on them to follow through on what we forced them to do in dental care. So there's things that we'll continue to work on, but the agreement, as it stands, will be broken, and that will no longer exist.
So pharmacare or bust by March 1st, the commitment to your members of the party that you're out on March 1st if you don't have a pharmacare.
Yeah, we said that really clearly. I've said it clearly today, that if they break their agreement, or if they break their promise, they would have broke the agreement. The agreement no longer exists. We're out of the agreement, and then we'll go vote to vote.
Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Jagmeet Singh. Now, I'll believe it when I see it. But Jagmeet Singh, of course, this happened with the dental care plan that Jagmeet Singh was pushing for ages and ages. And we saw, again, the Liberals eventually caved. They put it through. It's going to be interesting to see what comes through on this deal. But Jagmeet thinking that he has any kind of a straw man over Justin Trudeau and breaking agreements, I think, again, the writing is on the wall. I don't see the Liberals following through, again, unless pressure is surmounting so much. I mean, we're talking about literally just over 2 weeks for them to reach a deal or an arrangement. I personally don't see it happening, but it'll be interesting to see if Jagmeet Singh follows through. If we do see an end to that agreement, and if we do see Jagmeet Singh pushed into a corner, or at least a lot of NDPs who are willing to stand up against Jagmeet at that point to vote against the Liberals in terms of a confidence vote to push an election, it's all up in the air, ladies and gentlemen. Again, it's going to be interesting to see where things go. We'll be reporting on it. I'll keep you guys up to date. But who doesn't like to see, again, heckling videos? It was great to see Justin Trudeau get owned, and talk a little bit about the word salad that he continues to spew. But let me know your guys' thoughts down below in the comment. Do you think we're going to see a spring election? Or do you think this is going to continue with Justin Trudeau until 2025? If it's your first time here, I hope this video has earned your subscription. Make sure as you're clicking that button, hit your bell for notifications. Join us live here on the channel this Friday night for Friday Night Fringe at 6 p.m. Pacific Time, 8 p.m. Central, where we go over everything that went to happen this week and everything that may come up next week, as well as a little bit of back and forth through the community. I look forward to seeing each and every one of you in that stream, and hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll catch you on the next one.